Alright, so welcome to Theta Talk, the show that is ran by the latest, greatest, and most hated fraternity in the D9, Iota Phi Theta. We are the GSU Iota Zeta Chi in the house. Today, here with me, I have my good friend, my ace, my road dog, Donte. I can go through and list all his achievements, but it's too many to list. I'll let him rattle some off right quick.
For sure. Like you said, my name is Donte White, and I am the ace for the fall 2020 line for the Zeta Chi chapter of the Iota Phi Theta Fraternity Incorporated. Just a couple of organizations I'm in, besides this one, of course, University Programming Board, the Men of Vision and Excellence. I'm the vice president for the American Society of Mechanical Engineers. With that being said, my major is mechanical engineering, and I'm currently in the second semester of my junior year.
And I know for a fact he didn't even list all his awards, because there's a couple awards I'm in with him that he didn't name off. I'm not sure how to introduce myself. My name is Jennings. I am a live fly from the Zeta Chi chapter, the Iota Phi Theta Fraternity Incorporated. And of course, you know, the 5 Iota 1 always does it big. But with that being said, before we really dive into it, we would like to give a very special happy belated Founders Day to Delta Sigma Theta and a happy early Founders Day to Alpha Kappa Alpha. Kind of said that weird, excuse me.
Weird.
But yes, because when this airs, it'll be right around that time. So we definitely want to go ahead and shoot them out a little shout out. Because here we like to talk all things D9, we like to talk current events, and of course we like to talk Black excellence. So we definitely want to give them a shout out. Now this week's episode is called The Power of One. Because, well, before I dive into it, what do you think the power of one really means?
Coming together as one entity, and just, you know, going through whether you're achieving something or trying to get through a struggle, just making sure you're all on one mindset, because one mindset comes stronger minds. Right. For example, one line, one mind, that helps out a lot with it. So, yeah.
Right, so like for me, when I hear power of one, I really take it as how one decision can change everything. One move, one action, one speech, one tweet. And it's crazy because I say that and I'm kind of thinking of current events. Just recently, you know, people stormed the Capitol. Kind of crazy, not gonna lie, that kind of made me bad. It really agitated me because, you know, we was peacefully protesting about a year ago and they lit us up with rubber bullets and tear gas and all that. But you know, they breached the Capitol and you know, nothing happened. But that's for another time. But just like that, you know, the power of one is crazy how just one thing can really change everything. So I guess with that being said, because you have your interpretation of it, I kind of have my interpretation of it. When you say the power of one and how one mindset, when you think about that in terms of the Black community, and especially in terms of this campus, how do you think that really plays together? Like, what is one kind of goal that we should be striving towards?
Definitely community. I feel like with everything going on, community is a huge thing in the Black community. It's even in the name. So just coming together, just loving on each other, supporting each other. During quarantine, a lot of Black businesses came out and they were like, this is what I'm producing, this is what I'm good at, and I'm gonna make my name, I'm gonna make some money off of it. So definitely I think with what you said, I really feel like the sense of community has gotten stronger and always can get stronger with Black excellence for sure.
See, I really like how you said, there's two things that you said, you really trying to take back in history. You said community and then like Black owned businesses. And it's crazy because not a lot of people know this, but do you know what, have you heard of like Black Wall Street?
Yes, I've heard.
Yeah, so like it's crazy because I was talking to one of my friends the other day, and they really didn't understand what it was and how like, a lot of people don't realize that Black people, like we actually had our own stuff. Like, we was actually running stuff. And it got so powerful. Like this was, I think it was like right before the 1900s. So it was really before, you know, white people had a big boom in the 1920s, you know, the Roaring Twenties. And it, like we already had our stuff before then, and they came in and just destroyed everything. Like imagine that. Imagine you do so good after all the BS you went through. You come out doing so good that they have to come in and destroy it, and then don't allow you to rebuild it.
Absolutely.
Like that's crazy.
Definitely.
Like I really like how you actually brought up the sense of community, because I feel as a unit, Black people are really lacking in community. Like we definitely grown stronger. Like I said this past year, how one action to really change everything. It was that one event that really sparked everything. It was so much, but that one event with George Floyd that really sparked everything and brought us together. And we've been stronger since. But if you think about it, like, we are probably the weakest community in the nation. Like, Mexicans, they own their business. Latinos, they own their business, they hire each other, they work together. White people, they do that. Asian, like, everybody does it with black people. For whatever reason, we are probably the most divided.
Right.
And I'm asking, like, why do you think that is?
I mean, you definitely have those, like African Americans who are on the right side, you know, on pro-Trump, you know, like the saying, period, couldn't save all the slaves. Iconic saying, and it's the truth. There's a video that went viral on Twitter where a black man is saying, FBLM. Now, we're all making fun of this man, cracking jokes, but there's more of him out there who haven't been good.
And it is crazy because I feel a lot of people, well, not really a lot of people in the black community, because we say it and we understand what it means. I feel like a lot of people, they hear Black Lives Matter and they say it as we say only Black Lives Matter. I mean, never did we say only. I mean, we said that we let them know. And when somebody's like, oh, all lives matter, you're just trying to single you guys out so it make you sound more important. I always bring up the example, like, when black people were first brought to America, because we didn't really come by to them, when we were brought to America, we weren't considered human. We were less than capital, we were property. And then a lot of people, they wanted to use us for taxes, or state representation, that's what it was. So we were 3/5 of a person.
3/5 of a person.
And that's crazy, bro.
What?
Like, we had a total of 6 on the line. That means it would have been back then, it would have only been one of us would have counted as a person.
That's ridiculous.
Like, that's really crazy to me. So, like, a lot of people be like, oh, you guys are just trying to make it seem like, no, when we say this, it's because history clearly shows that we weren't. Like, history shows that maybe y'all just don't understand that, hey, our lives do matter.
No, facts.
And to me, that's like really bizarre. Especially how you said, you know, there's people of our own community who just don't agree with it. And granted, I try not to judge. I try not to, you know, bash people because you never know what happened in their life. But at the same time, I can't just sit there and be like, really?
Exactly.
Like, you're supposed to be on our team.
No, you can say it as simple as that. It's hard because it definitely shows like how you were raised. How view whoever was your guardian, whether you had like a stepmom or you had like blood related family. Definitely how you present yourself now is a product of how you were raised. That's just personally my opinion.
I do agree with that, but kind of like I said, it's how the power of one, how one decision and one event can really change everything. Because I mean, granted, you probably have like, we all know you grew up with your parents or your step or whoever your guardian is. You grow up with them, you kind of share a lot of similar ideals. But as you kind of grow up, I think like around the time, like really high school, you start moving away towards their identity and towards the identity of people around you, and so on and so forth. Especially when you hit college, so they're like really important. Then that's what like when it's really important, you know, watch who's in your circle. I mean, you say it's a product of who you're raised, and that is largely true. But at the same time, I feel that at any given moment, you had an opportunity to game up and like, this ain't right. Mm-hmm. You gotta fix it yourself.
Yep.
And like, I like how you said, like the small black businesses and all that. Really, in this quarantine, it probably brought out the hustle in a lot of people. And I hate to say it, if this year quarantine that was only supposed to last a week did not bring out some type of hustle in you, you ain't got it in you. I'm sorry.
That's fact.
Like that to me is truly bizarre.
Very.
And then the next thing I want to kind of bring up, like you said, the power of one and how it's truly one. And you said as a community, I like how the power, let me elaborate. The power of one doesn't necessarily mean one person, because it can just mean one community. Mm-hmm. Because think about it, one person didn't have the entire African American population as slaves.
No.
One person didn't just do it. It was generations on generations on generations. Like, we say 400 years, that's typically the number you'll hear. And we'll just say that every generation is 50 years. We know that's not right, but you know, every generation.
Yeah.
That right there is 8 generations, if I'm not mistaken. That's 8 generations.
You're right.
So it wasn't just one person. So it has to be one community. It can't just be one person. It can be one person to decide to make a change, but I definitely feel it has to be one group. It can't just be individuals.
Absolutely. It's a building. It's always building up. It's a accumulation of a lot of things. Like you said, a lot of decisions that are made probably by one person, but a lot of people agree with. A lot of things were voted on, like during slavery, and who made those votes? White people.
Right.
So definitely that community. We're all thinking the same, and they all came with one decision that was an absolute terrible, just catastrophic decision that we're still dealing with today.
I like how you said it's like a building, and it's crazy because kind of how I'm coming back to it earlier, like how we said, I think it was the Greenville district of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it was. But they were doing so great that they came in and destroyed it, right? So building blocks, I feel like it's very hard nowadays. Not too hard, but it's very hard for us to continue to build, because not only do we have outside people who are against us, which I mean is always gonna happen, but like how you said, there's some people that's even in our own community that are against us.
Yep.
Like so, like with that being said,
against us.
It really is in a sense, it really is. But how do you propose that we go forth building?
I think so far we're doing an excellent job. Prime example, the runoff election. Man, that's such a...
That right there, that honestly made me so happy to see.
Bro, that's history right there. We're living in history right now. And to see Warnock and Ossoff both take their victory.
But here's the crazy thing, like a lot of people were shocked that Georgia ended up being the blue state this go around. But I don't think people really understand how important voting really is. Like it's crazy to say that, but if you look at it, you break down the demographics, and you really look at everything, there are so many black people that for whatever reason just don't vote or can't vote or whatever. But if you just look at it, there is never a reason for Democrats to really lose any election. Mm-hmm. The only reason that they really do lose is because people aren't voting. I really like how it was the 2008-2012 election when Obama was running. We had amazing turnouts, tremendous turnouts. And of course you see blue all over the place. Granted, that wasn't truly done by just pure black people, but as a community we came together and got it done. The next election was 2016. That one, I'm not gonna lie, I feel, and it's crazy to say this, but I feel that people just didn't want a woman president, because there's no reason that Trump was a good candidate, he wasn't a viable candidate. I think people just didn't want a woman president.
I agree with you.
And it's crazy to say that, but I'm not gonna lie. I feel if it would have been Kamala Harris, she would have destroyed him. Because I'm looking at I was watching the debates, her against Pence, and she was eating that man up.
Bro, what? She was carrying
she was eating that man up.
It wasn't even, that boy was lost.
Exactly.
I feel like he quit as soon as he started the debate. that's what I saw.
But it's crazy. But like, if you really look at it, and then this go around after having 4 years of Trump, people realized, okay, we really do have to vote. Granted, there were a lot of people, I feel like a lot of generation, especially this generation who was moderate, I feel a lot of them who were red end up going blue after seeing that 4 years. Feel like there's no way we can do that again, because there's a lot of empty promises, the dude's a professional con artist, and
he's a businessman.
I can't even say businessman, because if you look at it, he's a terrible businessman. Like, a lot of his stuff don't work. And my biggest problem with him, of all things, he's a blatant hypocritical racist.
Yes.
Like, do you remember Central Park 5?
Yes.
It's crazy that he was like, these 5 innocent young black men should get the death penalty. Like, he took out his own money. Like, yeah, they should get the death penalty just because that they were accused of doing something. Like, it was very obvious they didn't do it. I'm pretty sure they had the Netflix show. What was it? What was it? When They See Us?
When They See Us.
Yes, I mean, go check it out. Yeah, it was very obvious that they didn't do it.
Bro,
but
that just made me cry.
It really did, because
it hurts my soul just like thinking about those episodes.
That really makes me hurt, because at the same time, like I said, one decision, like one thing, one person's lie.
Bro,
like it was very clear that they didn't do it. They were just so gung-ho that these black people did it, and they did it. And if you end up looking at their whole life, they lost so much of their life.
They was in there for 7 years, I think.
Yeah, and
it was one.
I think it was
one person.
Yes, the dude at the end, the dude who ain't had nothing to do with it. He was just there to keep his friend company.
Something like that. I don't know.
He was in there for too long. I can't remember the exact number. He was in there for so long, and like I said, just one decision. Like he was just there. I can't leave my friend hanging.
Bro, what?
I can't leave my friend hanging.
Bro, I would do something like that. And imagine.
Yeah.
Just imagine.
Exactly. And I'm not gonna lie, I really my respect really goes out to him, especially at the end where he was like, y'all don't want to hear my truth. I'm not even gonna go for it. Cause like at this point, y'all trying to get me to coerce it, just say I did it. Now granted, I probably wouldn't have did that. I'd have been like, y'all ain't saying I get to go? Cool. I'll say I did it. I mean, y'all put me in here for some stuff I didn't do. Y'all clearly don't believe me. Y'all don't want to believe me. And this is what I gotta say to earn my freedom. I do it. But even then, like if you look at them, those people, like those kids, their life was never the same.
Never.
Like the money they got, I mean, cool, but they lost their entire childhood. Like people were looking at them like just so disrespectful and talk like you can't do that.
You lose a lot more than tangible things.
And it's crazy because Trump was like, oh, they should enact the death penalty. Like he was very adamant about that. But here's the thing. A little bit later, he was like, oh, you can just go up and just grab women and do all that. So you think that 5 young black males should be killed for doing the same thing that you're advertising now? And that was my biggest problem with him. I'm like, hypocritical. And even if you don't want to say it's hypocritical, then it's definitely a racial component. And then everyone's like, oh well, he's not a racist. He's not a racist. You're just doing that. I'm like, come on. Like if you don't see it, that's crazy. And I think one thing that really, really made me so happy is seeing them storm the Capitol. And it's crazy, but hear me out. Because when Obama won, obviously the right was upset. I mean, that's always happening. Whenever you upset, side you upset. Mm-hmm. But when Obama won, they were upset. But they were like, oh, well, we're not trying to impeach him and do all that, because when Trump won, they was like, yeah, now it's our turn. Now you guys gotta sit back. But now that Trump lost, I'm like, okay, so within a whole span of a year, you guys are yelling Blue Lives Matter, but now it's F the police, this is doing it. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh, right. They every single day they find a reason to make themselves look as dumb as possible. It's very, like you've been saying, very hypocritical about how they say that's a protest, even though what they were doing is completely illegal.
I mean, true, it is illegal, and a lot of people were arrested. But I mean, one thing that they did say, which, like, and it's kind of crazy, they're like, oh, this is the people's house, or whatever.
But like, it is, but okay. You vote people to be inside of there to represent you.
And here's the thing that really made me the most agitated, is that they didn't want to send the National Guard.
And they sent them, but very late.
It took so long, and initially I was kind of upset, but I think I was talking to my mom, and she was like, "You, it's kind of hard to send them on the actual Capitol because, look, like this is worldwide. Like, I mean, think about it. Anytime something like this happens, it's worldwide. Like when France had their bombing, that was worldwide, and so anytime something major like that happens, so the whole world was watching us, and if
imagine how that's perceived.
It's crazy. But here's the thing. Because you gotta realize, you see our allies seeing it, but you also see those who aren't our allies seeing it. And this is what she explained. She's like, you can't send the National Guard onto the Capitol because then that makes our nation look weak. That our own citizens, like we can't even stop our own citizens. Yeah. And they're not armed at all. I mean, granted, they had their guns. You know how the Meehaws, you know how it is. But you know what I mean? Like they weren't like actively like trying to like take it down.
Yeah.
But if a terrorist group, I mean, they pretty much were terrorists. It's called domestic terrorism. I mean, that's what it is. Terrorists. I mean, I don't care.
By definition.
I mean, by definition, that's what it is. Domestic terrorists.
Facts.
But I mean, like, if a terrorist organization seen that, and imagine them seeing that we can even stop our own people, that does make us seem very, very weak.
Very.
And even without sending the National Guard, that makes us look weak.
Very, very weak. Because at the end of the day, you got to think, these are Americans who believe, America, like, greatest country in the world.
And
but you're making yourself
look weak. But here's the thing though, because like I say, Power One, everybody wants to be number one.
Yeah.
And America, we're number one. We're America, we're number one, we're number one. And other than maybe the Olympics, we're not number one in anything. Except maybe obesity and maybe that racism. Obesity and racism, that's about the only thing we're number one in. Our literacy rates, poor. I mean, like, our education, first off,
our education
system is poor. But speaking of number one and education, black women are amongst, like, I'm pretty sure they're the highest educated in the nation. That right there to me is absolutely phenomenal.
Listen, I had to, you know the stereotype that Asians are smart, and another stereotype is Asian women are extremely smart. But I truly believe that black women are extremely smart.
But here's the thing. In
smart.
the nation, like, they are amongst the highest educated in terms of making, like, their own business. They're like number one.
They know what they're doing.
But here's the crazy thing. It's crazy because they're literally the most underrepresented and underappreciated. Like, think about this. In America, we'll go back in history, it was always white men run everything. Everybody else is below them. And then we'll just think about in terms of voting rights. Right? We'll just go voting rights. Then it was black men, so all men. So, black men, they weren't really better than white women, especially in the eyes of America.
Yeah.
But it was like
the fact that you're male.
Yeah, the fact that you're male. The male outweighs that, but then it's crazy because then of course it's the white women. So it's like white men just want to keep as much, because we're male as that. Because we're white. So then they're literally, it's crazy. They are female and they're white. So they really have like the double-edged sword. And the fact that they're over like that right there to me is just truly big. Like it really is. And like how you say the stereotype. But I mean, like, it's crazy, and it's not like a bad crazy, but it's crazy that they're actually better than, because you don't hear about it.
You don't, but you definitely see it. Man, every day on Twitter, I see some accomplishment by some black women, and it's just like, it makes me so happy because that's just steps into further. Our children are going to see them as role models.
But I feel like there's just that one. I feel like they kind of have to, because when you have that piece where everybody is kind of looking down on you, like, it's crazy.
An underdog mentality.
Like even it's crazy. Like, even black men are kind of looking down on you. If nobody else, like, they're still doing it. It's crazy. So I mean, like, I feel like they kind of have to. And what else did you just say? Because you said something that kind of really.
About, like, our children are going to see them as role models.
Yes, the role model factor. To me, I feel honestly, we have to, like, as a black community, we have to fix the role models, because we are the only people in the nation who has role models as athletes and rappers. Like that's what we have as our role models. And it's to the point where when those are your only role models, for the most part, all your kids want to be is athletes and rappers. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy because everybody can play middle school, but even a smaller percent make it in high school. And out of that, even a smaller percent, like the smallest percent, make it to college. And for me, even there, like,
make it to D1, you know how hard that is?
It's not even D1, because I mean, you can make it out from like D2 or whatever. Yeah. But even the tiniest percent makes it NFL.
0.01.
Exactly. And then, like, for rappers, I mean, it's just like, maybe you get a good hit and then you got like a blast from like
it's a mixture of perseverance and a little bit of luck.
Exactly, but that's the thing, like, think about it. If you name famous rappers, you probably name like a good 10. Probably a little bit more. You could probably name a good more, but like right now that are actually popping, actually making good music, like African American rappers, you probably name like 10.
Okay, yeah, just rappers.
Just
yeah,
rappers, not like art, because
not like hip hop artists.
Nah, like just rappers, right? Because a lot of people, they're not, oh, I'm a hip hop artist, I'm a country.
Yeah.
No, it's just one rap.
Just rappers.
Right? So like that's just 10.
Mm-hmm.
Our population is more than 10 people.
Yes.
Which means it's not gonna work that way.
Mm-hmm.
So like we have to fix it like everybody else. Like they're role models for doctors and lawyers and judges and teachers and like they got all this other stuff, and we're only focused on rappers and athletes. Like that is honestly a problem because that's all you see and that's all you're gonna do.
And actors.
I mean, true actors, but because I'm just trying to think like when all the Black Lives Matter going on, they really called on the rappers and the athletes. There were a couple actors that kind of spoke out, but everybody was really looking at
like LeBron.
Yeah, they were all looking at the rappers and the athletes, and to me, that's like a problem. Like it should not be that that's all you got to see as that, and it shouldn't be that that's all you guys think that we can do. Like as a community, it shouldn't be if I can't rap and I can't play ball, well then I'm kind of screwed. Like that should not be our mentality.
It shouldn't.
And like to me, it's kind of crazy. Because especially as an athlete who's on camp,
right.
Like it's kind of, I don't want to say this, it's really bizarre. But even then, I mean, like I see it. I mean, I see from the athlete thing. But growing up, it was always stressing. Like my parents were always stressing the importance of education.
Very.
And oh boy,
every day,
boy,
they care less about anything else.
Yeah.
All they want to see is that report card.
Boy, I ain't gonna lie, I done hit a couple report cards on my day. Well, a couple progress reports.
Okay, yeah, I've hit a progress report.
I did. I ain't gonna lie. One time, I had just moved. I got put in math class. I'm like, man, it's not easy. I was screwing around. I wasn't paying attention. I was literally in the back of the classroom watching TV on my computer the whole time. And then that progress report came, and I seen I had 63. I was like, this thing is not going home.
Progress reports are like, I feel like progress reports are like meant to, are a bad thing. Because it's like, your progress report is, these faculty members, these teachers, these principals want you to bring them to your parents. And if you're doing bad, you're going to get grilled for it.
Well, I don't even really think it's that you're supposed to get drilled for it. I think it's meant to be like, oh, like for me, like I realized, oh snap,
what's like a wake-up call?
I have a D, I need to fix this. I ended up pulling off a high B.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, if I wouldn't have seen that, I probably just kept doing what I was doing.
How often do you look at your grades?
Now, I check them every now and then because I'm paying for it. So
yeah, like
it's cash money paying.
Like
so,
last semester, how often do you look at your grades?
Last semester, I'm not gonna lie, it was about every week, and then closer towards the end, I really started checking.
Yeah.
And I was glad. And one thing I did learn is, I knew this coming into college, but always go to class and probably email you first. And there was one teacher where I had that borderline between A and a B, and it was like right before the final, and I was going in-person class. I was literally the only one in class. Everybody else was in Zoom.
That helps.
It wasn't even that it helped because the teacher didn't know what she was talking about.
What class?
This was what was it, history? I can't remember what history it was.
Okay.
It was history.
Yeah.
And the teacher just didn't know what she was talking about. It got to the point where the entirety of the class says we don't know what we're doing. If one or two people don't know what you're doing,
this is
that's
final.
Yeah, like this is like throughout the entire semester. Like we take a test and we're like, how does nobody know? Like, okay, the first test everybody fails. It's a little iffy, but maybe people just weren't studying.
Yeah.
The second test, everybody fails again. That's a problem.
That's
the third test, almost everybody's failing. Okay, this is seriously on the teacher at this point.
I'm dead, bro. Because I definitely understand that because what class was it? It was a lab. It was a manufacturing processing lab, and this man expected us to know how to work like all these drills and joints and stuff like that, and no one knew anything.
Exactly.
And we basically just we all submitted such bad projects that it made us all seem like we were together.
Exactly. It's crazy.
And it came out as like he had to settle for it because you can't fail the whole class.
Which is crazy when I feel that you see that. But I mean, like, that just kind of shows how bad our education system is. Like, right now, our education is so bad that everybody is focusing on passing.
Rather than understanding.
It's not about learning, it's not about understanding, it's about passing.
Bro, that's like, I feel like people would pay for A.
Pay for an A, I can tell you right now, those who could afford it, if right now your teacher said $100, you get an A for a semester, you don't have to do nothing else.
Nah, 102 that's too small. That's only this.
Okay, well, we'll say $1,000.
$1,000?
$1,000. Cause tuition, I think my tuition right now is like 10 grand, roughly. So you know about
Let's say 500. I feel like 500.
Okay, we'll say 500. Really, we can say any number.
Would you pay $500 for an A?
Personally, no, because I know I can.
Yeah.
I know I can earn an A without it.
I
know I can earn an A without it. But if it was a class, like let's say I'm taking, cause I knew a girl my first semester. Her major was aerospace technology construction.
Bro, what?
That shit just sounds hard. that thing right there just sounds hard.
All you gotta say was the aerospace. That's
exactly. That just sounds hard. So if I had a major like that, where my easiest class is Calc 7, okay, clearly I will drop $1,000 for it. I mean, it is what it is. But like our education system, they put so much emphasis on passing. Like high school.
paper.
Yeah, not even a piece of paper. Because think about it, high school is just I gotta pass. Because I don't pass, I don't get the highest GPA. I'm not gonna be able to get into college.
Bro, you know how much I cared about my GPA in high school, and I realized when I got here that it doesn't matter.
So here's the thing, because for me, like my dad's in the military, I move a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So when I graduated in Virginia. I mean, Logan, Virginia is it's crazy, but it's a pretty, we'll say it's a pretty white area. I mean, the demographics is like largely white.
Yeah.
You go into a classroom, for me, I took AP classes and honors classes, and at any given point throughout the day, I was probably one of 3 minorities, almost always the black person.
It'd be like that.
Like almost always the only black person there. And I mean, it is what it is. And my mom, she hated it because I would never really like do my homework or anything like that. And I still ended my GPA was like a 3.6, like a 3.7. And it's not bad, but she hated it because like everybody else was like taking AP classes so they get the extra point doing the AP test, and they were doing all that. They were trying to get like 4 3s. I think the valedictorian before I graduated, the year before I did, her GPA was like a 5.2 on a scale of 4. That's what I'm saying.
Weighted, right?
With the AP classes and all that.
Weighted.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is.
I think it's weighted. But that's what I'm saying. But then my mom's like, well, you're smarter than people. Why aren't you doing it? I was like, Mom, these kids are mentally wrecking their brains. They are freaking
out. In high school.
Every day they're freaking out trying to get this A. And I'm not even trying, and I'm getting the same grade. I don't care. And looking back at it, I mean, it would have been like a good achievement. Like, hey, I'm one of the only black people in the school. I'm an athlete, academically. You know, it's just kind of like a good thing. It's a good feeling. And looking back at it, I kind of wish I would have tried a little bit harder. But you come to college, no one cares about your high school GPA. Really, no one cares about your GPA.
No one cares about where you went to high school.
No one cares about where you went to high school. Like, everything. It is a clean slate. Like, it is completely new. And, like, even then, even though it's a whole new slate, one thing that doesn't change is that it's still only about the grade.
Only about the number.
It's not about learning.
It's about the letter.
And I can tell you right now, with these online classes, a lot of GPA is about to go up extremely, and a lot of education is about to go down significantly. And that is not just on the college level, that is all across the board.
That's something I fear for myself.
I'm not even worried about like me, but I'm just thinking, look, the kids right now who are stuck online, right? Like we'll say 3rd grade through 7th grade. That's probably like a very big developmental. That's when you learn how to crack jokes and how to fight, because when you come to school with your messed up haircut, because we've all had it at least one, that's when you get cracked on. So you gotta learn how to crack back or throw back. I mean, you gotta figure something out. So I mean, when all this happens, like that's a very huge developmental portion. And we're in an age of technology. So kids are like, why would I sit here and learn how to mentally do math when I can just sit there and say, hey Google or Alexa or literally look at like
Shay, Quizlet.
Like it's crazy and it's very, very bad because the education system is so poor.
Right.
But as a nation, we are so wealthy.
But, well, I mean,
okay, hold on. I want to pull up the exact number for that because you say, because I mean, right now, one thing I don't get is because everybody says that we're in debt, but
we're severe.
Hold on, we're in debt, but to who?
Like what they gonna do about
it? Like not even that. Not even that. Our debt is like in the trillions, right?
Trillions, yeah.
Who do we owe $1 trillion to?
Probably like China. Probably. That's probably.
I mean that's what I'm saying. But like, even like who do we owe this money to? Because think about it. World War I, who was paying reparations? Like, we were on the side of the victors, and we had other people.
It wasn't us.
Huh?
Was that us? We weren't paying reparations.
Exactly, but we were on the side of the victors, so we didn't have to pay reparations. World War II, like there's still World War II veterans around.
We won that. It definitely was not us paying the reparations.
Exactly. So which is what I'm saying. So that right there, both times we were in going into like a recession. You know, not doing the best, and the war kind of helped us out. But where's all this money going that we owe?
It's not going anywhere. I don't think our debt's ever going to be paid off just because it's such a large amount of money. But at the same time, there's other factors that go into that debt. It could be internal debt that goes into that number.
Okay, you say internal debt, right? So granted, we got trillions of dollars, and you know maybe the debt is the reason why we can't boost our education system, right? But if I'm just looking at the numbers, and right now it says that our military budget. I'll just guess how much our military budget is.
It's like $1 trillion.
It's not $1 trillion.
It's less. It's like what is it? Like 300 billion?
600 billion. It's over 600 billion. Over 600 billion. $600 billion. Well, you mean to tell me that we can't even take just a little bit of that and put it in education?
Here's my theory on it. It's not even a theory, but here's a factual information on that. When you go into the military, and I have military parents, so and you know too, the amount of benefits you get is insurmountable.
Which is true. Which is crazy because, but here's one of the things, because here's my take on it, because I actually do use military benefits to pay for my college.
Right, yeah.
But,
and that's $600 billion goes into that.
And it goes to that, right? But here's the thing. They're only they put a lot into it. And I'm not saying that, hey, right now, and if I'm being completely honest, once you physically risk your life for the country, that is a debt that can never be repaid. Because you pretty much abandoned all hope of coming back. You say, this is the last time I'm going to see my family. This is the last time and you pretty much give up everything. So that is a debt that can never be repaid. So I'm not saying that those benefits aren't deserved. But what I am saying is those numbers, like right now, the military is like, hey, college student, we'll pay for your college. All you gotta do is come start the military. Right? So they're using that money to literally pay for kids' college. Why couldn't that money just go straight to the students anyway? Why couldn't that money that we have, like I'm not even saying we gotta tremendously gut it, but I'm just saying, let's just say we took $1 billion
and put it somewhere else.
If we took $1 billion of the military budget, they will still have over $600 billion in the military budget. And we just took that and boosted the education.
You know how much money that is? Like, that's ridiculous. Like, how much money that actually is.
And that's what's mind blowing. Like,
that's 9 zeros.
Like, that is a lot.
No, it's
not.
It's 9 zeros.
It's 9 zeros.
I know what I'm talking about.
It's 9 zeros. And because it's 600 billion, it's 11 zeros.
Yes. Okay.
It is 11 zeros. I can tell you right now, only way I would see 11 zeros in my account if all those were before the decimal place. That's the only way I can see it. If I just sat there, it's just a whole bunch of zeros, $100 and 12 cents. That's about it.
How did your bank account take a hit over quarantine? Did it take a hit or did it rise?
So for me, I honestly hate spending money.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, I had a lot of money saved up. I didn't really take too much of a hit, but like I had a lot of money saved up. And then I personally, I've been working on a small business myself.
Okay. Yeah,
my clothing line. Yeah, so I've been working on that. So I mean, I was building up. That definitely slowed it down a lot, but I never really took a hit. The only time I really took a hit is when we crossed, because they took all my money and I bought all these clothes.
Never saw it again.
And never seen any of it.
Never saw it again.
And Iota still owes me a bow tie, and I'm still waiting for it.
Man, they was the best.
And I'm still waiting for it. But you know what? I'm giving some time. We just crossed in the fall.
Yeah.
Little late fall.
It's only been like, well, it's alright.
Yeah.
Second day out.
Talking about number one, first semester on the yard.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not sure. So I didn't take too much of a hit, but I definitely didn't truly benefit like I should have or like I could have.
Definitely.
But I try to find good in everything. That quarantine, it was brutal, and really it could have been stopped. I mean, we're literally almost approaching a year of this 1 week quarantine because people just didn't want to do it. And I feel at this point, it's sad to say, but honestly, at this point, it's not going to stop. Because those who have had it and who have survived are like, well, I've already had it. It is what it is. And those who haven't had it at this point, well, I haven't had it, I'm not going to get it. So then it's just going to just keep going at this point. I mean, and that's just American ignorance. I mean, that's another thing we're number one in. Obesity, racism, and ignorance. We're probably the most ignorant nation there is.
Yes.
And I think the biggest thing that makes us ignorant is saying that we are number one. And we are definitely not number one.
And we're not humble. We're not humble. I don't think I'm humble.
It's crazy because I heard somebody say this. I don't know where it's from. I've just been on the internet. They're like, it's real hard to be humble when you're always winning. And that's true.
And white boys took an L and they got humble real quick.
I mean, but that's what's crazy because America, we see ourselves as always winning. I mean, just think about it. They come into the nation. They first off, it's crazy because the colonies, if you look at it, a lot of the colonies were like, which ended up becoming the states, like a lot of the early states, those were originally made by like the outcasts. Like they were really European outcasts that got put over here.
Yeah.
And they ended up taking over everything. So like literally, America has been winning nonstop. Like I'm just thinking like wars, like
the big picture.
Like big picture war, like I'm thinking every war, except for maybe like the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
We won. But even then, that was a war by proxy, a war we had no business in.
Mm-hmm.
And really, that's crazy. Because I mean, when we first started off, it was the American Revolution, won that one. The next big war I can really think of is the Civil War. I mean, granted, there's a lot of other small wars, like like Spanish American stuff like that. But I was thinking like, that Civil War. I guess you can call that a win because it was us versus us.
Regardless, it would have been a win, even though it was definitely a lot of casualties.
It was more casualties than it should have been, but at the end of the day, I mean, sometimes it's sad to say it, but sometimes a war is needed for change. You need a very catastrophic event for change. I don't think change has ever came without something catastrophic.
Speaking of change, let me ask you this. Do you think wholeheartedly, like deep inside a person, that they can change?
See,
and you know what I mean when I say that, like not morally, but like internally, like as to how they think and how what they do.
It's crazy to say that because yes, I do believe people can change, but at the same time, I am not one of the most forgiving people that you will meet. I mean, I'm one of those people where if you cross me, it is what it is. I mean, at this point, I'm not speaking to you. I don't really know you. You can try to talk to me, and I'm just walking right past you. I might shoulder check you. I mean, I'm kind of petty like that, but I do believe people can honestly change, but it has to come from within.
For sure.
I can't be like, hey, Donte, what you're doing is wrong. You need to stop that. If you don't want to change, and if you say that, hey, what I'm doing is right in my eyes. If what you are doing is right in your eyes, you will never change because you don't want to change. And people can change, but they don't want to. And like I said, that catastrophic event that is what changed them.
What was your catastrophic event?
I'm gonna be honest. For me, it's kind of crazy as a catastrophic event, but like as a military, I've moved around a lot.
Yeah,
So
sure.
that was kind of like my catastrophic event because I'm sitting here and I kind of caught on this very, very quickly. I think it was one moment. It was a dude I had met when I first moved to Arizona, and that was like seventh, eighth, ninth grade. So it was a dude I met. We were real cool. He was like one of my best people. And then when I was getting ready to move, he started kind of acting funny. Like I remember there was actually a football tournament. He's like, "Oh yeah, you should come to the football tournament." I'm like, "Okay, cool."
Yeah.
I mean, we hanging out or whatever. And then he's like, "Oh, tournament's canceled. I'm feeling sick. I'm not gonna go." I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm like, okay. First off, there's still like
there's still a tournament.
there's still some more other people."
Yeah,
but he was really just saying like, "Oh, our team's canceled. I can't do it." And he, okay, whatever. I mean. I was like, it is what it is. But then, like I said, there was still a tournament going on, and my brother was in the tournament as well.
Right.
So when we go and drop my brother off, I see them. Like I'm like, so this is what it is. Like you're supposed to be my homie. We're supposed to be cool, and then I'm moving, and now you acting funny. And then that happened again when I moved, or when I lived in Virginia, and right before I had moved down here. There was a dude I was cool with pretty much the whole time. We was real close, and I'm getting ready to move. And he started acting very, very foul, doing some reckless stuff, doing some stupid stuff. So I'm like, that for me, that's kind of like my catastrophic event is like. That's why I said that's why I said I'm not a forgiving person because I firmly believe that you know what you're doing at all times.
For sure, most definitely.
And I feel it's crazy, and this is something I kind of try to stick by. A lot of people have to convince themselves when they're doing something. Like if I'm
or need other people's like.
Yeah, and for me, if you have to convince yourself or have somebody else convince you, that means you know what you're doing is wrong. Like you shouldn't have to convince yourself that I should be able to do this. If you have to convince yourself, that means not only are you doing what is wrong, you know it's wrong, and you're trying to figure out a way to fix it.
Personally, very unpopular opinion, and everyone I've ever talked to disagrees with me, but I don't think it would change. Honestly, people changing the way they move, the way they act, but I think like internally, like morally, like deep down, like you really just guys the person, you really talk to them. I don't think.
But here's the thing though, I feel a lot of people move in ignorance.
I feel like there's growth, and that's not change. That's change.
See, growth can be changed.
Growth can be changed,
but change doesn't necessarily mean growth. But here's what I mean by that though, because right now, somebody could be like, all lives matter, and that's just ignorance because they don't know it. Like they never had to see it or whatever. And then let's just say maybe we'll just use the example of the Captain, right? Because it was a young lady. Fatally shot, right? Let's say she was with her husband, right? And they're both all lives matter. And then after that catastrophic event, he's seen like her get shot. And it was like, okay, now I see the problem with police brutality. Now I see what's going on. And now it's no longer, hey, this ignorant way, because now it's like I've learned.
That's a good point.
So like I feel like a lot of times we're moving in ignorance and we don't even really know it.
That's true. That's true. I'll be asking myself sometimes. Like, I'll be in my head a lot. And that's something that definitely crosses my mind. I'm like, am I allowing myself?
Exactly.
Am I tricking myself into thinking?
And that's the thing. I feel like a lot of people, we really move in ignorance. Like, and we don't really understand like what's going on. But like I said, like it only takes one. Like it's really like the power of one. Like it's just one thing that can change. Like you could be your whole life just be like, I hate cops. I hate cops. I hate white people. White cops, right? And then you could, for whatever reason, you can, something just happened. You get in a car crash, or you fall in a ditch, or whatever. Something happened.
Definitely a car
and then
crash.
a white cop come and help you.
Definitely.
And all of a sudden, you just realize this whole time I've been ignorant. I've been sitting here judging people for this, and there's no reason to. So like that to me is what's truly bizarre. So it's more of that we move in ignorance than anything else.
Definitely. I don't definitely my mindset is it's definitely future. I for some reason I cannot live in the present, and it's actually kind of bad. And I definitely need to start like living in the present, kind of experiencing the present instead of thinking so far in the future. I'll be thinking like 5 years ahead, man.
See, it's not a problem with living necessarily in the future. Granted, you don't want to miss the stuff that's right in front of you, because if you're so focused on what's happening down the road, you're gonna miss what's right
Bro,
here.
see, that's what I see. I be thinking that, but at the same time, it's like, man, I know where I want to be.
Exactly, but that's the thing. So it's more of, long as you're looking toward the future. Like for me, like I want to grow my business. I think this year I wrote out like 20 goals, close to 20 goals I want to do.
That's good.
That'll help me grow as a person, help me grow, like just enjoy, just grow, right? So from there, I'm like, okay, cool. Now that I know what I want to do in the future, I can look and see what I want to do right now. And granted, like I said, you can't just knock all of them out, but like you just start with just one thing.
Yeah, it's one small thing.
It's really just one thing,
Mm-hmm.
and that's really all it takes. Like it's crazy how much emphasis we put on one. Like you want to be number one.
Bro,
You want to be number one. You want to be able to have just one more chance. Just give me one more opportunity. If I just had one opportunity to do this, I know I make it count. If I just had one, and then when time's running out, if I had just one more time, if I had just one more day with this little person I had, if I just had one moment, like it's
dang, bro,
so
you got thoughts coming in my head,
it's
bro.
so much. It's crazy. It's like it's so much pressure we put on one
Bro,
that like, we don't even realize it.
that's
And I feel like a lot of people kind of neglect that, so to say, because they're so focused on gotta do this, gotta do this. That get rich quick scheme.
that junk is so. That's. I am in fear for people who invest their lives into that type of stuff.
I'm not gonna lie. I think it's crazy. I'm probably gonna hurt somebody's feelings when I say this, but I don't care. To me, one of the funniest things I see is when I go on Instagram and somebody in their bio, as their job, says professional Forex trader.
Forex.
That kills me. And I remember, like, when I first heard it,
We gonna get some heat for that one.
I know who is me for it. But I remember when I first heard it, I was like, oh, I mean, that kind of sounds legit. I mean, it's kind of,
It's like a cheat code.
I was like, it's kind of like a stock market. It's kind of cool. And then there was somebody in the fraternity who was part of it, and he told me to come out. I was like, you know what? I'll listen in. I got no problem. I'll support you. I'll listen in. I'll see what's talking about. And the dude who spoke, it wasn't a fraternity brother. He didn't speak. It was just somebody else who spoke. And he, word for word, described a pyramid scheme, and then goes, but it's not a pyramid scheme.
It is.
I lost it.
And
I don't want to hate on nobody because
yeah.
because if that's your hustle, that's your grind, and that's how you make your money.
That's how you
Get it. It is what it is. That's your one decision, and you make it, and you make it work, and you were the best in your field. I'm cool. I'm not hating.
Very true.
But I was also talking to this one girl at the time. We were dating at the time. She joined Forex, and she told me she did. And the only thing that went through my mind is, you freaking idiot. But we were dating, so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna support you. I got you.
Yeah.
I knew somebody else who was kind of iffy on about trading. I was like, you know what? I'll send them your way because I'm not gonna support you.
No.
Granted, if he wants to be a sucker and join, that's on him. But I'm gonna help you out. But that and the way she described it does work. Like you will get your money off of it. Eventually, you will get your money off of it.
Like it's a time when you have to pay up front.
Yeah, and that was crazy because I was actually we're way off topic, but I was talking to somebody. He was I think I was just bored. I think I was just trolling, so I joined like a big meeting with a Forex group, and I had joined one. I was like, so when are we gonna get to the point where we have questions? And then one dude, he was like, oh, if you got questions, you know what, just hop on my Instagram, I answer all your questions, right? So listen, because what he was trying to do, because he thought I was someone interested, and I was gonna fall under his pyramid,
Yeah.
And I was like, so you consider yourself to be an investor, right? He was like, yeah, I'm an investor.
Yeah.
I was like, and Forex, like, is this something you swear by? He was like, yeah, bro, I swear by this. I'm an investor. I really rock with it. I'm like, okay, cool. You're an investor. You swear by it. Here's what I want you to do. It's a proposition. Because I think the fee is like, what, $250?
Something like that. Yeah.
Well, let's say it's $250, right? I was like, okay, cool. $250 fee. I want you to upfront this. I will do everything you said. I will follow you all the way. All you do is pay this upfront cost. And in return, I will give you the first $1,000 I make.
Hell no.
So look,
I've got to be paid.
So look, this is what I told him. Like I told him, if you pay that upfront cost for that $250, I will quadruple what you invest. Because you're an investor, like you said. You claim to be a good businessman, so this is obviously a good deal because this is something that you just said that you swear by.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, no, that's not how this works. So pretty much you swear by it, you're an investor, and you claim to be a good businessman, but you're going to miss an opportunity to quadruple your money. I was like, nah, that don't sound right. And he was like, and he tried to play, he's like, bro, if you ain't got the money, it's cool. You can just, he tried to flip it on me. If you ain't got the money, you can say that. So I sent him a screenshot of my bank account. I was like, bro, I got $2,000. So not only that, you know what? I'll quadruple it. I'll give you $2,000. You make 8 times your investment. And he was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. So at that point, I lost all. I was like, I don't trust it. I don't care.
One of my good chocolate friends is in the Forex, and I be questioning whether or not he eats.
See, and like I said, it's crazy because I never want to knock somebody because if that is your hustle and that is how you work and that's how you get it, cool.
Respectfully.
And because you're not doing nothing illegal. I mean, you're not out here trying to rob and stuff. You're not trying to do something.
Scam. You're not trying to scam.
Yeah.
Whoa.
But you know what I mean?
This scam is no cap.
But you know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, as long as you're not doing nothing illegal, I'm not gonna sit there and knock you. I'm gonna support you. I might not join it. I might not really condone what you're doing, but I'll support you. And I feel like that's kind of the biggest thing with the community thing. Like, if nothing else, we gotta support each other.
For sure.
And I feel like it's kind of like a drag. So I mean, but yeah, I feel that we kind of went off on a tangent. But we definitely had some real good conversation. Definitely broke down a lot of different stuff. I gotta ask, and I'll make sure I do this for all the things. What was your overall takeaway and your overall giveaway? So what is one thing that you kind of took from this entire topic, and what is one thing that you definitely, if you would pass it on to somebody, something that you kind of said it?
Definitely the ignorance. When you said that clicked immediately, and when you started naming stuff, and it just started like thoughts and events and situations I've done. It's dealt with a lot of my ignorance and me not accepting the fact. So definitely I woke up. That was definitely a wake up call. And something that I would bring to someone else was definitely about our talks about where do I see the Black community going and how we can help them grow. Not only by, of course, supporting it, of course, but promoting it. Man, PR is a huge part of like anything.
But with that, I mean, and I don't want to go down this rabbit hole. I'm just saying, I feel you gotta, as a business person, I have to help you help me. I gotta give you something worth some look. I can't make a clothing brand charge $200 for a T-shirt that only has a vertical stripe on it and expect you to want to buy it and support it. Like I can't. Like, come on. So I mean, I wasn't even thinking about them. I was just thinking in general. But that's what I'm saying. So like I can't. Like I gotta help you help me. And for me, my biggest takeaway is kind of how you said, like, where do we see this going as a whole? Because kind of like my main thing coming in, it has to be the power of one. It only takes one person. It takes one event, one person, one opportunity, one thing. So wherever I see this going, wherever I want to see it going, kind of like you got to be that change.
Yep.
And that would probably also be the same thing that I give to somebody. It's like, hey, if you want something to change, you got to be willing to get down and dirty and do it. Because at the end of the day, Black people, we may not be the most. So I mean, it's definitely a little iffy on that, but at the same time, that would definitely be my push forward. Make sure that we are supporting each other, taking care of each other. Because as a community, we are lacking. Like overall, we are seriously lacking. But definitely gotta face it.
Definitely.
But yeah, that pretty much concludes the time that we have. I want to thank you for coming out. And once again, before we do, we want to wish a happy belated Founders Day to Delta Sigma Theta and a happy early Founders Day to Alpha Kappa Alpha. And we want to thank you guys for joining in.